Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat plus NBA content. My name is Amir. I have a special episode that we are doing today. I have both of my cousins. We got Dime Dropper, who's off camera right now. You've met him before. We've obviously done episodes together. He's our resident LA Clipper fan. We also have cousin Showtime, who's unfortunately a Laker fan, hence the name Showtime. Looks like we just lost Dime Dropper. He'll be back on later in this episode. But my cousin Showtime is joining us for the first time on my podcast. And for this episode, before you introduce yourself, Showtime, I want to do a top 10 NBA's greatest player list based on our opinion. So that's going to be what our video is about. So, Showtime, you want to introduce yourself to my audience?
Hi, I'm Cousin Showtime, live from Los Angeles, and it's an honor to be on your show.
Yes. And how long have you been a Laker fan for?
My whole life, I should say, but, as long as I could remember. In case you want to go over a timeline, I'm happy to go. But, I'll go. As I go through my players, I can say certain things that I remember. But, yeah.
Let's get started.
Showtime it is. Showtime is the greatest thing on earth. The Lakers are the greatest organization in sports. The Lakers are the greatest organization in human history. But go on.
And that is because of Tim Donaghy. That is because
I know NBA... who that is, but
Yeah, well, that's also when it's easy. It's easy to be the best when you get trades that are rigged, like Luka. 1 draft pick for Luka, 5 for Bridges, 4 for Bane. And
well, if you're gonna name a series of all these events, it's gonna be a long show because there's a lot of series of events when it comes to Laker greatness. But
we'll uncover that in another.
Those aren't just if you're gonna talk about Laker greatness. There's many other things that led to it. You didn't mention the Pau Gasol trade, of course.
Yeah, well, we all know. In your opinion, Lakers are the greatest organization franchise in history. I think they're the most ridiculous, rigged franchise in NBA history. So we got Dime Dropper back on. We could see his face now. Darian, I already introduced you to the audience. You've obviously been on the pod multiple times. How are you doing today?
Doing okay. Driving over to this Clippers draft event for us to make another mediocre pick that never plays.
What pick do you guys have?
30th. It's the Thunder's pick.
We have the Warriors pick tonight. We have the 20th, and there's been speculation. This is a Miami Heat podcast after all, so I'll bring that up before we get to our list. There is speculation that we might possibly trade that. I don't know. Andrew Wiggins, we're shopping him, even though he's been on the Heat for only half a season, and it looks like we might be packaging the 20th pick with him, hypothetically, or we might draft someone. I actually want to draft someone, in my opinion, but I'm not too excited because, who are we honestly going to get in the 20th spot? But anyway, let's get started with the reason why we're here. Cousin Showtime, providing our top 10 greatest players in our opinion. So we'll start off with you. Who is your 10th, not favorite, I guess, but just who do you think is the 10th greatest player of all time?
Well, before I start my list, I just want to make sure to tell the audience, and I was going to say this if we went 1 through 10, but now, going 10 to 1. There is a Laker bias to my list. Let's just,
You don't say.
Yeah, let's just be, put that on the table and be as straightforward as possible. I imagine, some of the older people have seen the film 8 Mile, where Eminem goes and basically says all the negative things the other guy could say about him. So I'm just going to first off say there's a Laker bias to my list. That way, if people want to put that on the comments or say something like that, just keep in mind I said that myself during the episode. But let's start with number 10. And people are probably going to be really disappointed, right away. But, we'll carry on in the list. but I realize Steph Curry is still in the league, so things could change. But my number 10 would be Allen Iverson in honor of, point guards or someone who loved point guards. And of course, when people use the expression pound for pound, the point is I'll just go number 10 with Allen Iverson. It's the story, what you did for the game, but I don't want to say too much. So that's my number 10.
Interesting. I don't know where I have him in my top 25 necessarily, but I definitely do not have him in my top 10. But
Yeah.
my 10 is someone who I think is underrated theoretically in his position because he's in position against other greats that I have on the list ahead of him. But number 10 for me is Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. So I think I'm putting him there because I think he's one of the most skilled centers of all time. His footwork obviously has been studied and envied, and even guards and wings have tried to emulate that. He's a legend. I think he's lucky that Michael Jordan decided to retire from basketball for those 2 seasons because that opened up the window for the Houston Rockets to win. But he was obviously their number one option. He's a two-way center. That's the thing. Like, he is so skilled offensively, but 2-time defensive player of the year, all-time leader in blocks, 12-time all-star, 2-time finals MVP. He's my number 10. So who do you got for number 9?
Oh, I thought, what about Dime Dropper?
No, he's just a moderator. He's going to chime in if he thinks, chime in. Thoughts on Allen, thoughts on that.
Oh, so he's not giving his top 10?
I don't have a top 10. I don't have a top 10. Hakeem Olajuwon, I mean, can't go wrong with Hakeem. Loved all the points you made. A little curious on Iverson, but I'm going to wait to hear the rest of your list to ask you about certain guys, because Iverson undoubtedly had an incredible impact on the game, on and off the court, with the way he dribbled and obviously the fashion and all that, and he was very admirable for smaller guards. But I haven't heard him on most people's top 10 players of all time if we're talking just greatest, but I know these are all subjective lists, so I'm going to wait to hear the rest of your list to ask you questions.
Okay, is there any way you could consider giving us your top 10 as well? I mean, is that difficult? I know you're driving. I don't want to.
I just don't have one because I feel like I still haven't. I've always said this. I feel like I haven't seen enough.
Give the
tape
people
on
what they want. Here, why don't you have a
draft? I would have Hakeem Olajuwon.
You got a draft, and then later.
I would have Hakeem Olajuwon in my list, right, but not Iverson.
Okay. Yeah, I thought everyone was going to come in with their top 10 today. So, but anyway, yeah, it's your show. All right. Well, my number 9 would be Tim Duncan. I'm not happy of putting him on the list, so I'll just say that. But, there were times when you could say he didn't really have any flaws in his game on both sides of the court. He's got 5 championships. I won't say more.
I have the exact same player, so.
Oh, okay.
Five-time championship, 10-time All-NBA, 8-time All-Defensive First Team, Rookie of the Year. Theoretically, best power forward of all time, even though he was like a center. Yeah. I feel like he's like kind of a center, but I don't know. If you put him as a power forward, then sure, he's the greatest power forward of all time because of his two-way ability, especially on defense, foundation of the Spurs for 20 years. So I actually agree with you on that one. Who do you got for number 8?
I was going to say, I'm glad we're all family. Because I would just agree with everything you just said, and I'll repeat what you just said. But hey, let's not take up more time.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, the great Tim Duncan, can't go wrong with that.
Thank you.
What do you got for number 8? Showtime.
Number 8 would be Wilt Chamberlain. Number retired for the Lakers. Number 13. Back when I was a kid, I read. So obviously, everyone knows that the 100-point game was not on record. In terms of like being filmed. But, I read about it in a book, a small book when I was a kid, book for, young adults or people in junior high. And one of the things it said was that, back then, not everyone had a center or like a tall 7-footer. Some teams might have someone 6'9" or a little bit above, but it wasn't common to have like, even a player on the bench who was 7 foot, whereas nowadays they might, keep someone like that. So that night, there were, according to the book and my memory from back then, there were 6'4" guards playing for the New York Knickerbockers, right? This was back before Wilt played for the Lakers, obviously, right? The Philadelphia Warriors. You guys are the basketball historians. You should come in with that, right? But the point is they were just dumping the ball into him. I'm not trying to discredit him. I'm just trying to use this opportunity again, Wilt being number 8, to bring attention to Kobe's 81-point game, where when people were dumping it down to Wilt, he was scoring in the post. I imagine he was hitting his free throws that night, right? According to the records, so he scored 100 points. But let's just set the stage for Kobe's 81-point game, where he was bringing the ball up the court himself, hitting 3-pointers. The game went from the Lakers being blown out by the Toronto Raptors to Kobe single-handedly, as we can debate the word single-handedly, but turning that into the Lakers back into the game, to now the Lakers are blowing out the Toronto Raptors. I saw that game. I remember the TV I was watching it on. And I remember, back then they would show the replay of the game the next day. And I couldn't wait to get back and, watch it again, knowing what had just happened. It was unbelievable. But yeah, Wilt Chamberlain, 100 points, all the other great things he did. So that would be number 8 for me.
Got it. 8 for me would be Bill Russell. Most championships ever, 11 champions, 5 MVPs, 11 all NBA teams, like average 22 and a half rebounds per game, like unreal. First African-American head coach, player coach. Like who the hell? He was a freaking player and coach at the same time. Like how's that even freaking possible? It doesn't even seem real. Ultimate winner theoretically. Offensive stats weren't flashy, but good enough. Just dominated defensively. And you can't say more about that. Like he is just synonymous with winning and all around a good guy. So that's my number 8.
Hey, all the things you said were accurate.
Love them both. Great picks.
What do you got for number 7?
Hey, let's you want a little controversy here, a little pushback, or
I think we're gonna get. Moving? I think we're gonna keep it
moving.
Be honest. I think it'll come eventually.
Okay, look.
Be honest. Hey, I'm also respectful because you're my actual family. I love you. And
no, I know.
I don't want to say the Allen Iverson pick is like freaking horrible, but because he's still an amazing player.
All
right, if you want me to be mean, I can be mean.
Walked into that, but I was gonna ask for because we're gonna talk about Shaq later, but I was gonna just for fun, let's not make it controversial. How about for the audiences to inform the audience? I was wondering if anyone knows his free throw percentage, for instance, but we'll just move on.
Let's move on.
All the other things you said were great. Let's just move on.
That's fair. That's fair enough. If that's what you're critiquing about, then that's fine.
No, I was just gonna say maybe the audience can look up something like that just for a little bit more context. But.
Sounds good. So who do you got for number 7?
So number 7. Okay, this part. I don't know if I could say this out loud, but Larry Bird.
I knew where that was going.
Who? I can't hear you. Say it again.
Larry Legend. He said it's hard for him to utter a Celtic name.
No, you don't bail him out. You gotta speak it out. Speak with your chest. Come on. Who is it?
I said Larry Bird.
Okay. Why?
Well, obviously the rivalry between Magic and Bird. You see, I somehow bring the Lakers back into this. But yeah, his shooting and just, the competitive, a great, some would say arguably the greatest Celtic. So yeah, there's, a lot more I could say, but just the shooting, all around game.
The McDonald's commercial with him and Magic.
Oh yeah,
back in the day or
definitely.
Whatever.
Yeah, the whole in that the way it was depicted in those commercials was the 2 best shooters. Jordan and Larry Bird, but you guys remember Charles Barkley would also kind of make some cameos in those commercials.
Yes,
time
sir.
to mention him. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that would be it.
All right, Larry Bird. So I got Wilt for my number 7 for
nice.
all the same reasons you said, but of course, just only player to average over 50 points in a season, average 52 points, like 20 freaking rebounds. They didn't track blocks back then, but he probably had 100 a game then, not just 100 points in that one game, but statistically the most dominant player in NBA history. Numbers or like video game numbers. Yeah, I mean, nothing else. 11-time rebounding champion, 10-time All NBA, 4-time MVP, 2-time champ. So Wilt Chamberlain. And there's a theme here, and I hate it, but like I've been saying some Lakers too. Like there's a common theme here. You privileged Laker fans like have got to see greatness forever.
Yeah.
It must be nice to pick your team, or in your case, be born and raised in LA. So I could fault you less for that than friends of mine who live in or who are raised in Connecticut or even Manhattan, New York, that are not like Knicks fans or whatever, that are Laker fans. Like, you know what I mean? Like, must be convenient. You pick the team with the most championships and all that history. But anyway, who do you got for number 6?
Pick them. You know,
exactly. I gave you that.
Natural,
I know.
Yeah, it's like being naturally born, just like
Hey, like my dad was a Laker fan. Migrated to LA, lived there for 20 years.
There's still time and hope for everyone, including the.
I should be Darian and I should be Laker fans, but we're not. You know what I mean? My family is all in LA. You're my family.
Okay. Anyway, I just want to say I like the term video game statistics because definitely that term's commonly used, but in terms of this case, and also one of the prerequisites to being in the top 10 or being a great Laker is suiting up for the Lakers. Ideally, having your entire career as a Laker, but just even suiting up as a Laker, that now you've really entered.
And shout out to the former Laker and Miami Heat player, not associated with the Shaq trade though, Smush Parker, underrated, one of the better point guards of all time. We got Smush Parker, right? Shout out to Smush, Miami Heat and Lakers legend over here in the house, right? So he got to don that beautiful Lakers jersey, according to your theory. He's like,
anyone who put on the Laker jersey forever, a Laker. And since you brought him up, I will say that on the night that Kobe scored 81 points, Smush
Parker is one of those guys that played for all three of our favorite teams.
Something off the top of my head is like they scored 99 points together, or like the duo. Oh, sorry.
I think on that night there was 84 points scored between Smush Parker and Kobe Bryant against the Toronto Raptors. So yes, Hall of Fame effort for.
You can look. I don't know. Well, the audience can look it up. Dime Dropper, did you say something? I didn't catch that. Sorry.
I said Smush Parker is one of the rare instances where a player has played for all three of our franchises: Clippers, Miami, and Lakers. And Lamar Odom as well.
Oh yeah, Lamar Odom, definitely.
Thank you, Lamar Odom, for being a part of the trade package that got us Shaq to win a championship. So
I thought that number 7 Miami Heat jersey behind you, that should be Lamar Odom.
It can be for you. Today it's Lamar, even though it's my boy the Dragon. So.
But I like Lamar Odom.
It could be Kyle freaking Meatball Lowry too, for like if I want, right? Because Kyle Lowry was number 7 for the Heat.
I like Lamar Odom before he came to the Lakers because what he did on the Clippers, just to give a little support to Dime Dropper over there.
There we go. He needs it the most. So of the teams that we support. But anyway,
hey, I didn't mean to lob him that one, but clearly that.
I worked for the Clippers. I worked for the Clippers at one point. So like at one point, like they were near and dear to my heart while I was there at that moment. So I mean, I was rooting for them secondarily at the time when I was there, when I lived in LA. So now it's an afterthought, but still. Anyway, who's your number 6? Let's go back to the list. All
right, my number 6 would be Kareem Abdul Jabbar. Does anyone I was going to say the audience, but know what his name was before? I know.
Lou.
I just want to ask.
We know Lou. Yes, we do.
Lou Alcindor, when he was a star at UCLA.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So Kareem Abdul Jabbar scored the most points before LeBron passed him. And then, I don't want to get into all the context of like when people are talking about, Jordan being the undisputed greatest player, but when he had 6 championships, people said, okay, look, Kareem's got 6 championships and he scored the most points. But there are a lot of people who, during his time would argue he was the greatest, or people who argue he's the greatest on both, because of also on both sides of the floor, offense, defense, the sky hook, which was unstoppable.
Wow, nothing about his Laker days, nothing about his impact on Showtime.
What do you mean his impact? Oh, of course.
You haven't even mentioned that he was a Laker and part of such a great run.
Oh, that's already known. Like, of course.
No, talk about it, because I want the Miami Heat fans that think Pat Riley's washed and asleep. Talk about his roots. Talk about one of the best coaches, executives of all time, right? Like what he did there, and going to Miami. We have that in common, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. They're okay. I didn't want to get into it, but
shortly, briefly.
Miami's kind of like the wannabe Lakers of the East in terms of like, a city, warm weather. Now look, I didn't want to get into this, but you got me into this stuff. In LA, sometimes people get the reputation of like leaving the game early or trying to beat the traffic. But of course, Miami will never get over. You remember that incident where the fans left,
Of course.
and then they were trying
Ray
to
Allen.
get back in and like banging on the doors and getting violent. So that's really embarrassing. But that's just, a lot of New York sometimes even gets a reputation where they're supposed to be like, set the bar. But there are times when at some of their football games, you hear the other team's crowd. So it happens to everyone. But in LA, they're loyal fans. Like people, not, some people are trying to beat the traffic, but that's not everyone. So I don't want us to get that name. But yeah, Miami, there are a lot of similarities in some good ways. But, no one's the Lakers. You guys could do, try and kind of replicate some little, Florida East Coast thing, but nothing's like Southern California. So
sounds good. All right, so my number 6, I have the Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh yeah.
I got Shaq, obviously former Miami Heat and Los Angeles Laker, and against a bunch of other teams that obviously at the twilight of his career. Basically, Shaq, 4-time NBA champion, 3-time Finals MVP, most physically dominant force of his generation. Right? Shaq was simply unguardable. You couldn't stop him without fouling him. You literally had to get 7-footers and random ass guys on your squad just for the 6 fouls off of the bench. Scott Pollard, like, comes up into mind, like when he was playing against the Lakers and those rivalries with the Kings. Like, you just needed random ass 7-footers to foul Shaq. So Shaq, number 6, arguably the most dominant player. You could argue Wilt or Shaq, but Shaq was the man.
You cut out for a second. What did you say? Arguably what?
Arguably the most dominant between him and Wilt Chamberlain. Those probably are the two.
No, we don't need to say arguably before that sentence. Just say the most dominant.
Okay, wait for your turn. Okay, wait till you. Okay, that's fine. We know you like the Lakers.
Okay. Wait till the dominance is about to come. Wait till you see.
I know. We know. I already know who the hell is on your list that you have not said yet so far. So I know there's more coming. So anyway, who's your number 5?
Well, after that comment of wait your turn, before that, I was going to say it's great that we're family because we can make a nice transition. Because I was going to say the Diesel. Yes, and pretty much everything you said. Honestly, it was a joy watching him play. Just everything you just said, the power. Like when he gathered his feet, I've said this on, Dime Dropper show. But yeah, once he gathered his feet under the basket, that's it. Like you could grab onto him and try to like, the biggest centers, like you said, in the league at the time could like bear hug him. And what that meant was you were going for a ride to the top where he was going to dunk it. And that was going to be an and one.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Samuel Dallenberg, like Nazi Muhammad, those guys were just toast.
One more thing. I know we said this like in the green room, but it's hard to find an incident where Shaq is getting posterized. You'd have to look at like his early days when he was on Orlando. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, as a Laker, he never got posterized. Like you will not find footage of him getting posterized because he's either, too big and you're not going to go through him and you'd have to jump over him and he's just too big. So he's not getting posterized.
Yeah,
So,
I can neither confirm or deny that piece. Like thinner, more athletic Orlando Magic Shaq. Maybe, but then to your point, girthy, like somewhat out of shape, which is why Kobe was upset, and which is part of the reason why he went to the Miami Heat also, because that relationship theoretically was ruined. I can't remember a time that he's been dunked on. So like, especially early Laker years, like the first 5-6 years from like 98 to 2005. Like I can't remember anybody posterizing him. His rim protection was impeccable, to say the least. So maybe let's get Dime back on as he's off stage. You ever seen Shaq get dunked on Laker days? Can you correct cousin Showtime? Or I don't think I've seen it either.
I haven't really seen footage of it. I wanted to. Have you given your number 5 yet, Amir?
No.
Okay. I was gonna ask something to him after you gave your number 5.
Okay.
But I just wanted to say one more thing. So I didn't want to bring this up, but Shaq himself talks about Derek Coleman like during the early days, like dunking.
The Nets.
But
Derek
another thing
Coleman,
I
right?
wanted to say, another thing I wanted to say was that jump hook shot. Like once Shaq got it, like kind of at an angle to the basket, he would just turn and do that little jump hook with his right hand, bank it off and in. And that shot was like very consistent. Like when the Lakers needed a basket, like when the other team was like, gaining momentum, the crowd was into it. You just, toss it into Shaq right there, you turn, do that little right hand jump hook off the backboard.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure everyone knows like he had that touch on obviously he would get close to the basket, but he was very consistent with that shot.
Yep. I hated him until he came to the Miami Heat. So anyway, my number 5.
Also the Hollywood stuff and the character they would, Shaq really fit LA and kind of set that kind of like trend of like, you come to LA because it's not just for basketball. It's also like for, music, entertainment.
Shazam or Kazam.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I remember
Can't forget Shaq's, acting and
Mhm.
rapping career as well.
Mhm.
Anyway, my number 5 is Larry fucking Legend. Lakers freaking killer. The team that has the most, and also fuck the Celtics too, but it's F the Lakers more for me. The team that has the most championships now, right? 18, I guess. Anyway, so Larry Bird, 3-time NBA champ, 3-time MVP. He's one of the most cold-blooded shooters, fierce competitor, white boys, elevated everyone around him, and helped build a dynasty essentially. Could score, could pass, could rebound. And what a great rivalry he had with Magic Johnson. So exactly. Thank you for that. So that's
Look
it.
at the synergy on this show. It's like we're family, or there's like a connection.
There's some
We
chemistry.
didn't script. That's not scripted.
None of this is. What do you got, Dime?
I was gonna ask, what makes Cousin Showtime go with two great Lakers? You got Shaq and Kareem. I feel like on most lists, because of the 6 MVPs and the scoring title before LeBron, most people have Kareem over him. What's your logic for Shaq over Kareem, or is it just because you got to see?
I'm glad you brought that up because like, if you ask for my starting 5, right? Like for center, Shaq and Kareem, it's like doesn't really matter because just to quickly name my top starting 5, which is a side note from this list. So I'd go Magic, Kobe, Jordan, LeBron, and then at that point, if you put Shaq or Kareem, I don't think, regardless, any other lineup's gonna beat my team. So, but no, I'll just say it's personal because just watching Shaq a lot more and remembering when he came to the Lakers as opposed to Kareem. I will say I got a pair of Adidas Kareem lows in the closet. But
we don't need to see them. I believe.
Well, I'd have to run upstairs, but like Kareem, Shaq the dominance. But that's one where like my 5 and 6, I'm comfortable doing a little switch, but my other ones I'm not as comfortable, I should say. But thank you for asking that. Yeah, they're both, if you like finesse and the Showtime, which of course, cousin Showtime here, you would think Kareem, but
Pat Riley, Miami Heat.
Yeah,
Miami
but
podcast.
Okay, why do you have to like disrupt the flow of Showtime, right? We're like coming down the floor, it's beauty, and then that's like someone from like with a Miami Heat who's just like running onto the floor. It's like your team's not even in the playoffs or playing at this point. During this time period, obviously. Or did you guys even exist, right? You
88. They were founded in
there
88.
You go. So, but anyway, like that. It's tough. It's not easy for me, but just the dominance and watching Shaq play and just like I said, like other teams would come in and it was like a physical battle where it was like, can you try to like Shaq would take a beating and like they wouldn't like the refs wouldn't call it and He was like a nice guy. Like he would get hacked hard. Like where nowadays, like people would like take it personal and start like wanting to fight. But Shaq knew like it's not personal. It's like this is the only way they're going to be able to stop him because he's just so strong.
Tell that to Charles Barkley or Will Purdue.
Oh, I remember that.
Dudley on the Knicks.
Oh yeah, I remember. Well, no, Doug. He just had the ball thrown at him. I remember. Or he threw the ball at Shaq. but from far away, and that was a good throw, I'll say. But he also took a swing at Brad Miller. I remember that, but he missed.
He missed. He would have took his
But
head
I
off.
remember the Shaq, because I like Barkley too. So like, I didn't want to see those two guys fight, and they're both obviously tough guys. But yeah, you got to give Barkley credit for even going up against Shaq there.
Yes.
But yeah, Barkley was a tough guy. I remember me and my older brother, we used to always talk about like the tough guys in the NBA, although maybe some of this was his own opinion, but he would always talk about like who were like the toughest guys in the NBA. Like if there was like a fight between them, like, but anyway.
Barkley would be up there. All right, let's get back to the list. Number 4. Who's your number 4?
For me, LeBron James.
Interesting.
And look, here's where once we get into top 4 territory, someone says LeBron's the greatest ever. He's still got a career, like career span, most improved or like constantly improving. But yeah, we don't need to get into all. I'm sure there's been so much said about this. So I'll just say number 4, LeBron.
Gotcha. I'll say number 4, Magic. So revolutionized the point guard position. Freaking almost 7 feet tall, 6'9", playing as a point guard. Like obviously the charisma led the Showtime team, obviously to 5 NBA titles. One of the best point guards, probably the best point guard ever, unless Steph Curry somehow, with my boy Jimmy Butler, who I love and also hate at the same time. Jimmy, that is, could possibly win a championship. His career is still in flight, so who the hell knows? But I got Magic at number 4. What do you got for number 3? Now this is where we get interesting.
My number 3 would be Magic Johnson.
Same reasons?
What?
Same reasons?
Oh, same way, but I just want to say, growing up, he was my favorite player. And for someone who loved basketball, when it came to playing the right way, people use the expression like just being a basketball player, as opposed to like people use the term scorer or like you're really good. So he was like good at everything. And then, he could score if he wanted to, but, making the team better, steal, defense, and then just Showtime. Like, it's not just about like,
the charisma.
It's not just about stats and winning sometimes. It's also about like what you create and like love and beauty. So like to me, Showtime is like the greatest thing that's ever existed. Or like, when everyone's pumped up, just like, a rebound and then, running it. That's basketball in its purest form where you're not planning. It's just, happening as fast as it can. But just, getting a rebound, pushing it and just making the right decision or an easy decision, but at the right time. Or even that you get a block and then an outlet pass. But yeah, the fast break is what it's all about. So yeah. And then, just in terms of the dates, but I remember the game where Magic came back also. And just the buzz that was, in the crowd before. So just, the Showtime days and like the buzz. And then when he came back and then all the great things he's done, that's just something special.
I agree. I miss those types of offensive like strategies. Now it's 5-out motion offense, like 1,000 threes a game. It's like a boring product to me now. Like it's cool, but it's like I still enjoy it, but it's not like it was back in the day. So that was your number 3, right? So this mine is the captain, the better player between the two from Showtime, the 6-time NBA champion, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So 6-time MVP, like combination of championships, MVPs, scoring until LeBron dethroned him for many, many, many years until LeBron finally broke that record. It took a long time, and the skyhook was unstoppable. He's one of the GOATs in his position of all time. So, God, I fucking hate the Lakers. It's just fucking Lakers. Like, I'm like, Shaq. I said Magic. I said Kareem. Like, I said Wilt. Like, even a non-Laker fan has to admit, like, the great players that have played for your storied franchise, even though your franchise is a piece of shit franchise. So anyway, number 2.
So for me, as I was saying, Magic, people talk about like playing the right way, like everyone's happy because everyone's getting the ball, like he gets everyone involved, like everyone's contributing, he makes the team better. And then, when you're playing yourself, that's also what you want to be like. You want to be, if you're, say, a point guard, obviously, like you want people to like give you the ball and trust you to make the right decision. The worst thing when, growing up, or the term I hear, is if someone called someone a ball hog, because that's pretty much saying like, oh, you're not going to pass, you're just going to shoot, and then it's not fun for everyone. And look, people talk about like, defense is like, I like to say, use the expression, defense is a choice, or you got to like, be motivated to play defense. And when there's one guy shooting constantly, and you don't feel like you're contributing, or the expression people use like eating on offense, now all of a sudden you're not as motivated to play defense. But if you hit a three, now all of a sudden you're pumped up, and now you want to like, you start talking more and like calling stuff out on defense because you're like, feel like you're a part of it. So Magic in that sense, like playing the right way, like making the team better defensively. But yeah, so my number two would be Michael Jordan. But yeah, like the term ball hog, was something they would use for him, and going one on one, like a player who could go one on one with, maybe your teammates aren't always happy, or like if you're trying to pretend like you're Jordan. But I'll just say, I'm not, this isn't fun either. I won't say all the other stuff. I won't say that's not fun, but in terms of how much people love Jordan, during his time. But I'm sure you can relate to this. During the 90s, the 1990s, Jordan was the undisputed best player. Like people said he's the best player. And, the only question was the championships at that point, because you had Magic and Bird. But once, Jordan came back and then started, and at that point he was clearly, he left and came back. And that also kind of like showed people like, look, this guy can leave. And then the NBA is like different without him. Like even in terms of like who's going to win, or like legacy. He's almost like I don't want to like take any, anything away from him, but almost like what you were saying earlier, it's like he's handing people like a legacy by choosing to leave, as opposed to like, well, I won't say more, but yeah, him coming back. And yeah, once he won the six, at that point it was like, all right, no one is going to argue that Jordan is not the best. It's an up, and if you are, it's an uphill battle. And if you are, you're probably really old and trying to like bring back the old people. And then that's when, like I said, people are saying, oh, well, if it's 6 championships, because then people said, look, now Jordan's got 6. So, Bird and Magic, he's got more than Bird and Magic. Jordan was always the most exciting, some would say, like one-on-one player. So now that he's got the championships, that's it. You got to hand it to him. But then people said, oh, no, Kareem's got 6, and he scored the most points. So if that's the discussion. But, people use the expression the eye test. But, yeah, I'll just say I saw Jordan play in person. Against the greatest franchise in human history, the Lakers. But the point is, I saw him play in person, and not everyone always gets the opportunity to see players play in person. I'm sure from video or TV, I'm sure you can, you have your own opinion as well. But yeah, just seeing him in person at that point, it was undisputed. He's the best. So number 2 is going to be Michael Jordan.
Okay. Horrible. LeBron James is my number 2, and former Miami Heat player, 2 championships with the Miami Heat, 4-time NBA champion. Unfortunately, one of those was for the Fakers with you guys against the Miami Heat in the bubble. Doesn't really count because 1, it was the bubble. 2, Bam Adebayo missed 2 games. Goran Dragic, who was our leading scorer in the playoffs, missed 4 games. You can say that about every championship, but it's because it's the Lakers. I'm going to point that out. Even Alex Caruso, who won a championship, finally said, "Oh, I finally won a real one." Even
he was joking.
Even a Laker, he's not joking. He hates the Lakers. Anyway, LeBron James, number 2. He's not a GOAT. Only Gen Z, this generation, who didn't get to see Michael Jordan play, say that LeBron is the GOAT. But he's close. He's not far off. He's number 2. His longevity, his versatility, his all-around brilliance is unmatched. He won 3 championships with 3 different teams. He's been elite for 2 decades. He's one of the best players ever. He's my number 2. Dime, what do you got? Shaking your head.
Well, it just sounded like you gave everybody more compliments in your list, but you didn't give LeBron compliments, yet he's number 2. And based on your number 1, I mean, I have to say, I'm not saying all those guys don't have a case to be better than him, but I do not expect somebody who has Michael Jordan number 1 to have Kobe outside of the top 10. I mean, that's crazy. I don't know if you did that to spite cousin Showtime, but I mean, I don't know where he'll rank on my list. Obviously, I think Kobe's the best player I've seen in live time, but I'm adamant on that one. By the way, I used to think LeBron, but as I've aged, going back and watching the tape, I think Kobe's. I would have Kobe on my team, but I won't. I don't spite anybody for saying LeBron. I think it's wrong to have LeBron over him, but I would take Kobe. But outside of the top 10, that shocks me. But as somebody who's a Michael Jordan guy, because they're so similar.
Similar, but not good enough, and we could talk about that. But also, all my guys are freaking bigs. Like all the greats are basically centers, power forwards, small forwards. Like, look at my list.
Then what's Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Magic? I'm sorry, the top two are non-bigs. They're wings, and Kobe's a wing. That's what I'm questioning. The consistency of
that delta between Kobe and Jordan, in my opinion, and LeBron. Or I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying, but it's there's a combination of spite. But I did add 4 or 5 Lakers in my list, so it's not fully. It's partially.
I'm guessing we'll get into it when he gives his number one.
Let's see. Who's your number one, cousin Showtime?
Well,
is it Elgin Baylor?
I think Dime Dropper is doing a great job, and I really support his comments, and I think he did a good job of responding to you there.
Yeah, because he's our young, handsome cousin. Look at this face. Look at this guy. We're just a couple old men. Cousin Showtime's older than me, even though my face looks like it is because all this white hair. But still, anyway.
Yeah, cousin Showtime is old. He's from the Showtime days. That's the
exactly. Yeah, you can tell from our lists how old we are.
Showtime.
Yeah, Dar's list is Kevin Durant number 10, Steph number 9.
Like, Kevin Durant is definitely not even in my top 12. Like,
okay,
he's not even, I don't know if he's in my top 15.
He'd be top 15, 20, 15, 20 range.
20 maybe. I mean, you know me, I'm very respectful of the old. So, like, my list would be closer to yours. It's just the order I just don't know. It's going to be the same 10, 11, 12 guys. I just don't know the order.
Yep.
But yeah.
All right, go Showtime. What do you got? Who's your number one?
So number one would be Kobe Bryant. He scored 81 points in a game. And, I can go 6 hours telling you why Kobe Bryant's the greatest. I can go 8 hours telling you why Kobe Bryant's the greatest. I could go 24 hours telling you why Kobe Bryant is the greatest. Anyway.
Do 1 minute and tell us why he's the greatest.
Look, okay. First of all, I didn't want to make like a Street Fighter 2 analogy or like video game analogy, but some people from the older generation will remember the characters Ken and Ryu, which they're not exactly the same player, but the idea was that you have two pretty much identical players in case you want them to go against each other. So I like to use that analogy with Kobe and Jordan. Like, he replicated his game and then made it a little bit better. Jordan +1. That's 24. Kobe. And then look, I'll just put it this way. When Shaq left the Lakers, it was heartbreaking. Stephen A. Smith, let's make sure to mention him. People always looked at him as the person who's going to tell the truth, that he's not going to sugarcoat it. I remember what he said. He said, "This is a sad day in Los Angeles." And that's what it was. I was actually in Massachusetts hearing him say that. But, just to give a little shout out there. But, it was a sad day in Los Angeles, obviously. And, yeah, the Lakers went from, obviously a contender or a championship team to now all of a sudden we're like, we didn't get, they always say whoever gets the best player in the trade wins the trade. But, we don't need to relitigate that trade because there were things that happened afterwards. But the point is, just watching Kobe carry that team or after Shaq left. So now it was like, okay, now it's Kobe's team. Like now, there's no one standing in his way of him completely expressing himself and showing who he could really be. And watching him carry those teams during those times, it was just epic. Those were teams that some people would say had no business making the playoffs. And he didn't allow that. He didn't allow a team that was had this championship to all of a sudden to go in the other direction. And just watching him just put that team on his back and every night willing the team to win, double teams coming at him. It didn't matter. He was look, there's nothing I can do. I have to will this team to win. So I'm going to shoot. I'm going to test myself. If there are double teams coming at me, I'm going to fade away and hit it. And I'm going to take people's heart. And that's what he did. And, at least he kept the Lakers afloat or making the playoffs until they were able to ultimately get Pau Gasol. And then obviously, not everything went the right way, but he did get that 5th championship. Obviously, until this day, I don't like talking about it, but the vetoed Chris Paul trade, which Darian obviously enjoys that discussion. But
I worked for the Clippers when that happened, and we got I was at the front office, so I was actually an insider for the day.
Imagine
they told us we're getting Chris Paul. Don't tell anybody yet, and so I was part of that.
Yeah, Kobe is the greatest. Jordan never scored 81 points in a game, and then there was another game where Kobe had 62 points in 3 quarters, outscoring the Dallas Mavericks by himself. But then because they were blowing them out, Phil Jackson took him out of the game, where he could have scored who knows how much. So Kobe's the greatest ever. Like, if I'm gonna start a franchise, you're gonna get 20 years of the Mamba or someone who's like a killer. And look, let me just bring it to today. Luka is the type of player that has that mentality where he wants to go with the other team's fans and yell at them. You're not going to intimidate them. He wants the competition and the drama. He's not going to back down. So, it's great to have those types of players who really care and are not going to back down from anything, no matter what the situation is. They're not going to think oh, I don't have a chance, I'm going to not try as hard. They're going to give it their all no matter what.
Interesting. All right. Well, that was
another thing I was going to say, look, Kobe in his younger days when he had the big hair, that player in itself is the greatest player of all time.
Okay.
But in the top 10. So it would be number 1, Kobe Bryant. Number 2, Kobe Bryant again with but the point is two-way player, offense, defense.
Okay. Yeah, that's I think crazy. I don't think many people have Kobe as their number 1 actually, but my number 1 is obviously the greatest player of all time. No debate between him and Kobe. Maybe with him and LeBron if you want to bring that up, I guess, but Michael Jordan obviously greatest player that's ever lived, 6-time NBA champion, greatest combination of winning, scoring, killer instinct, legacy, undefeated in the finals, dominated his era. You mentioned it earlier, undisputed greatest player at the time. There was no one even close. Always the number 1 option, always the MVP on 6 of those teams, had very good teams. I'm not going to say he carried a bunch of bums to win 6 championships. Obviously had Pippen, had Kukoc, had Rodman, had Harper, had all these other dudes. Obviously had one of the best coaches of all time, which I'm sure you can agree upon. Obviously, right? Obviously Phil Jackson. So, yeah, Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. Kobe Bryant has less championships, and for 3 of those championships, Shaq was wearing a baby Bjorn, and Kobe was sucking on Shaq's teeth. I'm just kidding. Obviously, I'm just kidding. He was a 1B, but I don't give a shit. That delta between Shaq as the 1A and Kobe the 1B, Shaq got the MVPs every single year. Shaq was averaging 36, 13, 3 assists, 3 blocks, the most dominant goddamn player almost in NBA history. It's between him and Wilt, but Jordan didn't have that. Jordan has Shaq. He wins 18 championships. Jordan beats Bill Russell's record if he had Shaq. I don't care what anybody says. If Jordan had a player that was that dominant, like Scottie Pippen, top, what is he, 85, 75 player, whatever. He's not a top 5 player like we mentioned. You have Shaq at number 4. I'm just saying, you're talking about this. You have Kobe at number 1 and number 4. Scottie Pippen's not even on my list of top 25 players of all time.
Debate. I was not trying to turn this into a debate, but Scottie.
No, we don't have time. I wanted to do 30 minutes.
When Jordan left, Scottie Pippen was the way he was, among the league leaders. Like some people were arguing he was one of the best in the league just by himself. He led. I'm just trying to say. And then when they had Dennis Rodman, that was a pretty solid. And Rodman accepted his role and was doing everything needed other than scoring.
Yep. Keep going. None of those guys are on our top 10 list or our top 20 list. But anyway, keep going. Dime, what do you have to say?
I would ask you this: if Michael Jordan was playing with that version of Shaq as a young player, would he even be the number 1 option? Because you said Jordan's been the number 1 option on all his rings, but he wouldn't have been had he played with that Shaq, right?
That's hard to say because Shaq could have been even more dominant with the Michael Jordan, all the gravity that he would get, all the attention that he would get. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. But still, who gives a shit? He'd still win 13 championships.
13 is crazy. Do you think they beef though? Like they're both huge personalities too. I could imagine them clashing to some degree. I mean,
No.
Okay, and then another thing.
Maybe.
Kobe's assists. Kobe's like, look at his statistics in terms of assists. Like, especially during the early days, like he came in, people were saying he had point guard skills or like he could play point guard even. One of his most famous plays was the lob he threw to Shaq
against Portland. I remember.
He's the most underrated passer in NBA
history.
Kobe,
no, he's not. John Stockton.
I think he is. I think he's the most underrated passer in the history of the game because people paint him as as a ball hog because he had those moments, but he could pass. And I remember one game. I'm still taking. I mean, I haven't seen Jordan play enough yet, but I do agree with all the things you were saying. I would have Jordan over Kobe too. He's just so athletic. His hands, his elevation he gets on his shot. He just has more natural gifts than Kobe. But I gotta study his career because I've seen Kobe for his last 11 years in full. But I was gonna say that I remember there was one time, just to go off of what Cousin Showtime's saying about Kobe's underrated passing. I went to our grandma's house or Cousin Showtime's house, and I had gotten there, and it was like the first quarter, and Kobe just wanted to prove a point. He had like 9 assists at the end of the first quarter, and the team was up by like 20. So I'm not saying he could have been like a Magic type guy, but I think if you wanted to play more like the LeBrons of the world, and played in an offense that's like the modern NBA, which is like a bunch of high pick and rolls and easy reads, I mean,
he'd be better than James Harden.
I don't know. I mean, not as a passer, but I mean, he's much better than James Harden. But I think he could do a lot of those things and average a lot of assists if that's what people want to see him do.
Totally. All right.
But the not having Kobe in the top 10 and having Jordan number 1. Oh man. I mean, I'm surprised you have like Wilt over Kobe, for example. I mean, I love Wilt, but we got to see Kobe.
I did it on purpose. I'd probably take out. Okay. I'd probably put Kobe at like 10 or 9 or 8. 8 most maximum.
Okay, for the record, he changed his list in the end. Like after further review, the call has been overturned.
It is, and after further review, this podcast is 20 minutes over our scheduled allotted time. So we're at 51 minutes. There's no way anybody's gonna be watching this except for us, the Motamini fam. So that's Dar and I. So thank you for hopping on, both of you guys. We got Dime Dropper. You can find his YouTube channel, Dime Dropper Pod. You could also find him as the Locked On Clippers host. And then Cousin Showtime. Hopefully we can come back and have another debate about Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan in the future. So thank you again for hopping on. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thank you. Thank you for the audience for being a part of this as well.